Welcome to Between the Whistles Detroit. I'm your host, Joe Chapp, and today we are talking about the Pistons. We talked about the Pistons Tuesday in the podcast. If you want to listen to our podcast, please visit the links below, and they will take you right where you want to go. What a wild ride this NBA draft was for the Detroit Pistons. If you think about it, this couldn't have played out any better for the Detroit Pistons today. This is a two-part thing. So let me put my GM hat on for a minute. What Troy Weaver did to Charlotte, what he did to New York, was the ultimate robbery you'll ever see. This rivals Stevie Y taking Jacob Vrana from the Capitals for Anthony Mantha and getting a first-round pick. What Troy Weaver did was brilliant. Let me explain. The Hornets were looking to get rid of the contract of Hayward. They didn't get rid of the contract of Hayward. Matter of fact, the Knicks traded Kemba to Detroit where he's going to get bought out. They traded Jalen Duren to the Pistons. The Hornets got the first round pick from the Jeremy Grant trade. And what it really does, now listen to this. What the trade really did for the Detroit Pistons, not only did they get Jalen Duren, that's beside the point. What it sets up is Miles Bridges. Because if you know anything, you go look at the cap space. The Hornets can't pay Miles Bridges all that money unless they got rid of Gordon Hayward. And they didn't. And what the Detroit Pistons did is they said, okay, we'll take your scraps, New York. He'll be bought out. Won't impact our salary cap. We'll take Jalen Duren. We'll give the Hornets that first-round pick we got yesterday from the Jeremy Grant trade. And we will sign a max offer to Miles Bridges in free agency. Ultimate. One of the most brilliant moves I've seen from a Detroit GM in quite a while. I think Stevie Y with the Ron trade was right up there, but that was just brilliant GM work from the general manager of your Detroit Pistons. What Troy Weaver did was probably the smartest move I've seen because he's going to get Miles Bridges. It doesn't impact the salary cap. He's going to take Kemba Walker on, buy his ass out, and send him a plane ticket to LA to that old folks home. Then you talk about the first pick, Jaden Ivey. So in the podcast, as I said before, we were talking about the Pistons, and I wanted Jaden Ivey bad, but he was mocked to go to the Kings. And Cindy was telling me, I think Jaden Ivey's going to go to Sacramento. And I told her, Sacramento is like your alcoholic cousin. I mean, all they do is mess up. They're going to mess up a wet dream. And that's what they did tonight. Now, Keegan Murray is a really, really good player. I think he's going to be a great, good player in the NBA. But Jaden Ivey's potential is higher than what Keegan Murray's would be. And if you looked at we posted on Between the Whistles, Jaden Ivey, Benedict Mathurin, Shaden Sharp, Keegan Murray. Jaden Ivey was number one on my board with a bullet. I picked him in my that was Between the Whistles pick. I didn't know that Troy Weaver would go out and get Jalen Duren. That's an impactful trade right there. See what Troy Weaver has done is he's opened up so many opportunities for the Detroit Pistons because now you got a young core with the backcourt that is loaded with talent. Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey. Then you go to the front court, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart as your two centers. You got Sadiq Bey. You're going to add a wing. You're going to add a wing in free agency. Don't worry about it. But what Troy Weaver is doing is he said, listen, I'm going to go out and get these guys. I'm going to get the best talent I can, and I'm going to make moves. And that's what he did. You know, if you're a Pistons fan, you've dealt with a lot of garbage. Stan Van Gundy years, the late Joe Dumars years. It's been bleak for Pistons fans. It's just been a torturous time if you're a hard diehard. But what you see in Troy Weaver is an elite general manager who is not afraid to make off the wall picks, not afraid to be a wheeling and dealing guy. And what he did in the draft today was I I really don't even understand how he did it, but it's pretty crazy how he did it. Like you can't even put into words what he did in that draft. And of course, there's going to be a lot of people who are saying that he should have, there's so many things that people were saying about the Jeremy Grant trade. He should have got more. He basically got what he wanted. That first round pick you got for Jeremy Grant turned into Jalen Duran. It's going to turn into Miles Bridges. It's going to turn into extreme upside for the Pistons. And if you're a fan of the Detroit Pistons, you should be excited and elated that you have a general manager who actually knows what the hell he's doing. Because in a lot of cities, they don't have a general manager like Troy Weaver. Matter of fact, there's not many out there like Troy Weaver. This guy is making moves. And if you're a Detroit Pistons fan and you're a diehard and you've lived and died with this team for the last 10 years and you've watched just god awful basketball, kudos to you. This is your time to shine. You have dealt with so much shit that you're gonna get paid off big time, because I think what Troy Weaver is doing, you could tell where he came from in Oklahoma City, because I think he's assembling another roster like the KD, like the Russell Westbrook and James Harden years. And I think unlike those years, I think he's developing these guys that want to play together, play in the same area. See, when you looked at the Detroit Pistons a couple years ago, they had nothing. Now you go into next season, you're looking at a tremendous time. The Pistons are so lucky. They're lucky. And I know Goris got a lot of flack for being the owner he is. But Goris has done a tremendous job with hiring Troy Weaver, getting the hell out of the way, and letting him do the work. It's a fantastic job. And kudos to Tom Goris. You know, he doesn't get the credit he deserves either, but this is on him too. He learned off the Stan Van Gundy debacle. Now you have Troy Weaver. And if you're a Detroit Pistons fan going into free agency, you can feel very excited that you have a roster that is young. You're going to add pieces to it in free agency, and you're going to make your team better going into next season. This is Between the Whistles Detroit. I'm your host, Joe Chapp, and we will see you next time as we break down whatever Pistons news comes up next. We will see